Dear Patriots, before the news starts, please subscribe to our patriotic channel by clicking the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up to this video. Don't forget to leave your opinion below in the comments section. Share the news on Facebook and Twitter so you friends see it. Thank you.
White House tweaks plan to seek death penalty as part of opioid response. President Donald Trump's plan to fight the opioid epidemic will call for the death penalty in some cases, White House officials said Sunday, scaling back the administration's plan to punish drug dealers. The Department of Justice will seek the death penalty against drug traffickers when appropriate under current law, said Andrew Bremberg, the White House's director of the Domestic Policy Council. White House officials referred follow-up questions to DOJ. An earlier version of the plan, obtained by POLITICO last week, would have called for the death penalty in some cases involving drug dealers, too. Trump will announce his opioid plan on his visit to New Hampshire on Monday. POLITICO first reported on Thursday that the White House was finalizing its opioid plan, which includes a mix of administration actions and initiatives that would require new funds or laws from Congress. There were more than 64,000 drug overdose deaths in 2016, mostly involving opioids, according to the most recent federal mortality data. The CDC this month reported that emergency rooms recorded a 30% spike in opioid overdoses last summer, indicating that the devastating crisis is worsening. The administration says its plan will reduce opioid prescriptions by 1/3 within 3 years and that the initiative will fulfill Trump's campaign promise to stop opioid abuse. The plan involves 3 major components, said White House counselor Kellyanne Conway: education and prevention, law enforcement and interdiction, and treatment and recovery efforts. The opioid crisis is viewed by us at the White House as a nonpartisan problem searching for bipartisan solutions, Conway said. However, the White House did take a shot at the Obama administration for its role in allowing illicit drugs to spread, arguing that it insufficiently prosecuted traffickers. The prior administration did not prioritize enforcing the laws related to drugs. I think that's been directly attributable to the rise and increase of fentanyl and the resulting overdose deaths, a senior White House official said. The Trump administration will call on Congress to make it easier to invoke the mandatory minimum sentence for drug traffickers who knowingly distribute illegal opioids that can be lethal, like fentanyl. Multiple congressional committees also are preparing their own responses to the opioid epidemic, with the House Energy and Commerce Committee slated to review 25 bills this week. That's raised questions about whether the Trump administration and congressional lawmakers are coordinating their work, with lawmakers occasionally scheduling competing announcements. We have been talking to Congress about various bills and their upcoming hearings, a White House official told Politico. As they move from the hearing to the markup stage, we will get even more involved. The White House is also backing new health ideas, such as calling for 75% of opioid prescriptions reimbursed by government health programs like Medicare and Medicaid to be issued by using best practices within 3 years. That would be scaled up to 95% of prescriptions in 5 years. A White House official said that the goal would be to use guidelines identified by the CDC as best practices. It also will call on Congress to formally repeal a rule barring Medicaid payments to residential treatment for opioid addiction at large facilities, which could cost tens of billions of dollars. The Trump administration also will encourage states to adopt a prescription drug monitoring database that healthcare providers can access nationwide to flag patients seeking out numerous opioid prescriptions. Short will Russia probe ever end? White House Director of Legislative Affairs Mark Short on Sunday stressed that the president and his staff continued to cooperate with special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation, even if there's growing frustration with the probe at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I don't think that the president or anybody right now in our White House is suggesting not cooperating, anyway, with the Mueller investigation, Short told moderator Margaret Brennan on CBS Face the Nation. Everyone in the White House has cooperated on this, and what I said is, is that we have cooperated in every single way, every single paper they've asked for, every single interview. Throughout the weekend, President Donald Trump has personally attacked Mueller and his team in a manner the commander-in-chief had previously shied away from. Such comments, Short added, come from a sense that the probe continues to drag on without an end in sight. I think the reality, Margaret, is that, yes, there's a growing frustration that after more than a year and millions of dollars spent on this, there remains no evidence of collusion with Russia, Short said. I think at some point the American people are owed an answer to say, okay, if there was no collusion, how much longer will this drag on? Short pointed to the House Intelligence Committee's findings, released last week, that there was no evidence of collusion between the president's campaign and the Russian government. But top Democrats on the panel said they never saw the summary of their investigation before it was released and have complained that Republicans, who are in the majority, are shutting down their inquiry prematurely. Despite an extremely thin GOP majority in the Senate, Short took 2 Republican senators to task for their views, criticizing Kentucky Senator Rand Paul for his opposition to Mike Pompeo, Trump's nominee to be Secretary of State, and Gina Haspel, the president's pick to lead the CIA. Paul, who also ran for president, had to put your head in the sand about North Korea and Iran and just hope they don't develop nuclear weapons, according to Short. One of the top White House voices on the Hill, Short slammed retiring Arizona Senator Jeff Flake for saying more members in the party need to tell the president that going after Mueller is a red line. I've not heard a lot of outcry from Republicans, Short. And all due respect to Jeff Flake, I'm not sure as far as him representing the Republican Party, couldn't get re-elected in his own state today. For first time, Trump aims at Mueller. For 10 months, President Donald Trump and his team abided by a simple rule: don't go after Special Counsel Robert Mueller. But this weekend, as he digested news that the probe into Russian interference in the 2016 election was circling nearer to him and his family, Trump came closer than ever to abandoning his unspoken truce with Mueller, reigniting fears among Republicans that the president could fire the special counsel. Cooped up in the White House without any public events on his schedule and cable news blaring, Trump unleashed a Twitter tirade that differed from past outbursts in one significant way: he mentioned Mueller directly. Before this weekend, Trump had only referenced Mueller by name once on Twitter, in a retweet. Now, it appears, Mueller is fair game. The Mueller probe should never have been started in that there was no collusion and there was no crime, Trump tweeted Saturday night. On Sunday morning, he asked, why does the Mueller team have 13 hardened Democrats, some big crooked Hillary supporters, and 0 Republicans? Some members of the special counsel's team have donated to Democrats in the past, but it is false to claim that the entire team is made up of Democrats. Mueller himself is a Republican. By Sunday afternoon, Trump had left the confines of the White House to visit his golf course in Virginia. Later Sunday, the White House said that there were no plans to fire Mueller. In response to media speculation and related questions being posed to the administration, Attorney Ty Cobb said in a statement, the White House yet again confirms that the president is not considering or discussing the firing of the special counsel, Robert Mueller. Until this weekend, Mueller was the rare figure in Trump's orbit who seemed off limits. The president and his aides have taken pains to avoid attacking Mueller, even as they repeatedly stressed that there was no collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign. We're going to continue to fully cooperate out of respect for the special counsel, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders told reporters last week. Trump's comments come after his lawyer, John Dowd, on Saturday urged Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein to shutter Mueller's investigation. Dowd reportedly first told the Daily Beast he was speaking in his capacity as Trump's lawyer, but he later backtracked, insisting he was speaking only for himself. A spokesman for the special counsel's office declined to comment. Sanders did not respond to questions about whether Trump would fire Mueller. Firing Mueller would set off a firestorm in Washington, likely triggering a severe backlash against the president even among his Republican supporters in Congress. If he tried to do that, that would be the beginning of the end of his presidency, because we're a rule of law nation, Senator Lindsey Graham, RSC, told CNN's Jake Tapper on Sunday. The senator issued the same warning last summer after Trump raised the same alarms. A person familiar with the president's thinking on the Mueller probe told Politico on Sunday that Trump's tweets over the previous 48 hours appeared to be a response to the firing of former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, news of the Trump Organization's subpoena, and what he's been hearing from his friends outside his immediate circle of staffers and attorneys. "We know he's obsessed with this case. He's been obsessed with it from day one, since before the special counsel's been appointed," the person said. "We know he actually enjoys talking about it because it goes to his nature. It goes to what he knows best, a fight." The person downplayed the notion that Trump's tweets are the result of a strategic push by the president's lawyers and advisors to undercut Mueller. Trump trusts his own instincts. He trusts it above the instincts of his own lawyers. He trusts it above the instincts of his own communications team, whether inside or outside the White House, the person said. Meanwhile, Trump also suggested Sunday morning that McCabe, who was fired Friday, did not make memos of their conversations in person and that such documents, if they do exist, could be fake. "Spent very little time with Andrew McCabe, but he never took notes when he was with me," the president wrote on Twitter. "I don't believe he made memos except to help his own agenda, probably at a later date. Same with lying James Comey. Can we call them fake memos?" On Saturday, Politico reported that McCabe, like former FBI Director James Comey, felt the need to memorialize his conversations with the president before he was fired on Friday. The former top FBI official has also given the memos to Mueller's team, as it continues to probe Russian interference in the 2016 election. The president also continued his attacks on Comey, who is set to release a book soon. Wow, watch Comey lie under oath to Senator G when asked, "Have you ever been an anonymous source, or known someone else to be an anonymous source?" He said strongly never, no. He lied as shown clearly on at Folks and Friends. Seizing on a point made in conservative media, including by Fox News host Jeanine Pirro, Trump claimed that Comey lied under oath during his testimony to Congress last June. The former director's testimony has received renewed attention over reports that McCabe, who was fired for unauthorized disclosure to the media, may have done so with Comey's knowledge or blessing. If Comey were to have authorized McCabe to speak to the media, it could contradict what the former director told Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican Iowa, during his testimony. "Director Comey, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?" Grassley, the Senate Judiciary Committee chairman, asked last summer, according to a transcript of the hearing. "Never," Comey responded. The Iowa senator asked again, question 2, relatively related, "Have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?" "No," Comey said. While Trump has frequently blasted the Russia probe, he had steered clear of attacks on Mueller, even once calling him an honorable man in a Fox News interview. Senator James Lankford, Republican Oklahoma, said Sunday that the president may have a point when it comes to the number of Democrats on Mueller's team, but he largely praised the special counsel for limiting leaks and for the detailed information included in the February 16 indictment of 13 Russian nationals and other businesses for their alleged role in interfering with the election. "It is odd the number of Democrats that he has put on board his team," Lankford told George Stephanopoulos on ABC's This Week. "That does raise some flags in some sense there." Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer argued that the president is floating trial balloons to derail Mueller's probe. "The president is floating trial balloons about derailing the Mueller investigation," the New York Democrat said in a statement. "Our Republican colleagues, particularly the leadership, have an obligation to our country to stand up now and make it clear that firing Mueller is a red line for our democracy that cannot be crossed." Representative Adam Schiff, speaking on ABC's This Week, said the idea of Mueller being fired was something that needed to be condemned before it could happen. Members need to speak out now, the California Democrat said of his colleagues in Congress. Don't wait for the crisis. Trump's comments came at the end of a chaotic week that also saw the president fire Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and leave National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster dangling in the wind. A defense lawyer working with a senior Trump aide on the Russia case said in an email that the president's latest assault on Mueller seems to me to be of a piece with the firing of Tillerson and the trash chute on which McMaster has been placed. Not enough to just fire someone, you need to publicly humiliate them for a few weeks first, namely, Trump unshackled. He appears to believe that, across the board, his instincts are better than those around him who have been exerting a moderating influence, the lawyer added. It's no secret where Trump stands on Mueller and, so, no particular surprise that this is coming now. And, as at the White House more generally, there are always those, in this case, doubt who are ready to reaffirm his worst impulses and act on them. Josh Gerstein and David Cohen contributed to this report.